What up, Ali? What's good, dude? I'm just just giving it a few minutes before people see if any more people come in. Thank you, sir. Thank you much. Gotta stay fresh out here, man. Gotta look like I still got some shit going on, man. Gotta look like I still got some shit going on in this life. Keep the glasses fresh. The hair's looking a little whatever, but fuck it. So I got this hat on anyway. As a matter of fact, he's not trying to be cool and shit. Bruh, everything is fucking up, man. Everything is fucking up. Everything is up. I still haven't what? What's good, Alexander? Ollie, what's this? What's that you say I still have? Miss you, dog. I miss you too, man. I mean, it's kind of good that some people have been able to stay busy again, but, you know, for a lot of people, they ain't been so fortunate, you know. And now, oh, the swag, yeah. What's good, Alex? Good to see you. Probably just give it like another minute or so, see if anybody else comes on. But yeah, y'all, I'm sure y'all seen the post or y'all know what's happening in the world, everything, and this is California, of course, and half the fucking state, it seems like it's on fire, you know. I was tripping because, I posted this photo or whatever of the area that I'm in, and I'm like, why the fuck is all this smoke and fog? You know, why the air look like this? I was like, this shit traveling that fast from NorCal, from Northern California, but I forgot that there was actually Santa Ana. There was fires happening down over in Santa Ana and shit. So it's just like what the fuck? And they're saying like the fire spreading into Oregon and shit. People get, oh god, But yeah, I guess that's enough. I guess it's just the three of us, fellas. I was supposed to start this shit 15 minutes ago anyway. But yeah, but just everything's fucking going on, y'all. Everything is fucking crazy. It's just every time we think the shit can't get any crazier, it does. We got fires. We got Trump coming. Finally the tapes being unearthed. The fucking Australia. We got all kinds of shit. Of course, COVID is ongoing. Of course, all the protests and shit is ongoing. Unemployment, all that good shit. And then of course, like the big bombshell is Trump on this tape with the legendary journalist Bob Woodward, acknowledging, and Ali, this is good because you pointed this out in your IG story. I saw this right before I hopped on here, was that he's not as stupid as he seems. The stupidity, part of it at least. I mean, he's definitely incompetent in some means, but I mean, you don't, even if your whole thing is running a grift, is just fucking over people. Most people try to fuck over somebody else and they may get it, a few times or whatever. It takes a skill to still build that shit up. Oh yeah, the thing is that like, I don't know if this is like some Sun Tzu or where this, what it comes from. What's good, Mateo? But downplaying, hiding your power level, downplaying your strengths, letting it's better for the enemy to underestimate you, than actually know your, try to guess which clique I'm in, Mateo. But yeah, no, he's a great con man. He's probably one of the greatest con men. And really, I would say he kind of goes beyond a con man because I don't know, because the thing is, people got to consider is that like politics and intelligence agencies and everything, that's the main focus that people criticize these days, along with corporations and whatnot. But much of their tactics, the way that they became as effective as they are, they didn't just start off that way. There's always different people fighting for different ways to organize the government, and when they use power here, blah, 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 blah. A lot of the shit that they learned was from the mafia. A lot of the stuff that we know about, like 20th century America being able to become what it is, was using mafia tactics. And those mafia tactics being applied, via corporate interest and politics. i.e., in intelligence gathering. The main thing being like blackmailing your enemies or having some type of compromise on them. This is why we sit back and we wonder as poor broke motherfuckers like, oh, we know so and so is better. Why aren't they calling this thing and that thing out? It's not that they don't know any better. It's that they got their somebody's got them over a fucking barrel. You know what I'm saying? Same thing like with that Jeffrey Epstein shit. He's most likely an intelligence asset because when they went and they raided his home or whatever. Oh yeah, John L. Hubbard, he was a great one. Seventh-day Adventist. Mm-hmm. Wait. Oh, it was a woman who started the Seventh-day Adventist. But L. Ron Hubbard obviously was also a great comment. The nigga founded his own religion, But yeah, dude. I mean, but I guess like the thing I've been wanting to talk about, it's like more so than these emergencies that are going on because anybody can see what's going on or what's not going on. But recently, a friend and I mean, we're no longer friends, I guess. We cut ties. And we cut ties over. He was basically making a strongly worded post, talking about how he is centrist. He doesn't really care about this shit, and he doesn't want to. And anybody who basically is challenging his perspective, his point of view, is extreme and can fuck off or whatever. Jack Parsons. Who was Jack Parsons? I may have heard the name, but it's not ringing any bells for me. Wait, is Jack Parsons the dude that's leading it now? Or was he one of the leaders of it and everything? But the real point I'm trying to, but JPL was created because of him. Wait, what's JPL? Oh, okay. I guess that's the JPL is the full name for whatever the fuck they are. just like what the Mormons call themselves, the Latter-day Saints or some shit or whatever. But yeah, the rest of these motherfuckers in Scientology die. But it's and the thing is, all of these individuals, like this whole country is kind of founded on a grift of sorts, right? Of course, genocide and stealing land and slavery and all that shit, but fundamentally, Jet Propulsion Labs, NASA. Interesting. I'll have to look more into that, but really just kind of think about what is it, because some people look back and on just like, how is this? All right, brother, thanks for stopping by. But in any case, who else is on here, actually? Is it just Matt and Alexander? Catch you later. All right, bro. But in any case, this whole country, like the ethics and everything, much of it is a fucking grift in the sense that it's creating value out of nothing, or it's taking something that is immaterial, and then turning it into material. So religion is still huge despite the, supposed progress that we're supposed to have in this nation. And it's when because they've been very good to a certain degree of being able to convince people that they need something beyond what can be provided, if it is even available, in material means, in like food and housing and stuff, and then how you just get treated in society and the complexities of the changing world and whatnot. And it allows you to think that there is, some secret system that not everybody is privy to. What's going on, Sam? I'm just talking about kind of trying to break down and really look at the ethics of America, of what is the American dream. And to me, the American dream, we've been sold a bag of no good shit with having 2.5 kids or whatever and a decent job and blah blah blah. The real American dream is to basically just hustle, get your hustle strong enough to where you get invited, to be part of the top echelon. And it doesn't matter how you get it, and just taking that, value which everything to a certain degree is subjective once you get past like food and housing and basic necessities and shit like that. But really, people want to know that there is a system, a value system, or that there's certain mechanisms that are operating, right? And that can be manipulated, And so, whether that's augmenting your beauty, saying making yourself look more youthful, whether that's, saying presenting yourself as a super honest person, or maybe the opposite. Maybe your claim to fame is presenting yourself as a very petty, vindictive person because there's an audience for that. But when I say grift, I don't always mean, trying to fuck over people, but trying to basically turn the immaterial to material, where you take this image, this persona of faking it till you make it, right? Or just taking something that's very subjective that isn't material yet, but getting enough people around it to put real resources into it, so then it becomes its own infrastructure. Hell, a good example of this is the Kardashians. The Kardashians are fantastic grifters because they managed to take something that has always been around, which is the fascination with celebrity, saying cults and whatnot, and the vapidness of Hollywood and the subjectivity of beauty standards. And they created their own market and shit, and they've changed the entire way that certain facets, people in media and Hollywood operate and what their expectations are. They changed the way that people, plastic surgery and everything. I was just looking at some music videos not too long ago, rap videos, and a lot of the women in there, like, you can tell they're grown women, but like their figures were more like what was typical for like on a runway model and everything. A lot of them were a little more petite. There wasn't, even for a lot of these Black and Latin artists and whatnot and models, they still leaned towards a fairly petite, mild frame. Even though the stereotype within the community is to always fetishize, saying extreme curves. Now, that's its own fucking, industry. And now, there are plenty of people who grow up and just think that the only way they could get respect or love or, validation is by getting fuller lips or changing their, bleaching their skin or tanning their skin, But, just kind of thinking about all the shit that's going on, out here, whether it's just out here in Cali with these fires and the ongoing like homelessness and or the looming economic crisis for the United States in general, because how our leadership has been doing things. Just kind of, and a lot of people have been sitting back wondering, oh, how did it get here? I just don't understand the mindset. No, it's pretty clear and straightforward. It's people operating with a completely different set of expectations and values. They want the opposite thing. They want a different thing than you, and they can't be convinced otherwise. Some people have the blinders on and they recognize it, and they're not going to spontaneously just drop that shit because they didn't just spontaneously adopt their comfort in operating in the ways in which they do. The grift. Whether they're the ones selling it or the ones buying it. There was another friend, a woman who I used to date. We had recently started talking later last year or whatever. But a couple of months ago, I made the decision to like drop contact with her because, whereas before, she had when we were dating and everything, she had cut things off with me or whatever. And then years later, I decided to reconnect with her. And then there's been, some back and forth and whatnot. But one of the things that really bothered me and made me decide that I should cut ties with her was like, when I was just trying to keep her updated about stuff that was happening in the country and just happening in the city and the state or whatever, and she was just like, I don't really care about politics. I don't really pay attention to this corona thing. I'm not really worried about it. I'm just worried about myself and shit. And it's just like where I would normally where I would normally think, okay, she's just a little lost. I can just present things to her in a certain way. I can just, if I put things the right way, then like through osmosis or through, some type of spontaneous happening, You know what I'm saying? She'll just change her mind and realize the error of her point of view. But it was like, no, it's instead of going that route, I just accepted the fact, like, no, when somebody shows you who they are, accept them, believe them. And, just like I gave an example of another friend who recently cut me off because he was, he's also claims to be a centrist and whatnot, and doesn't want to listen to anybody challenging his views and shit. And was just like, yeah, well, we used to be friends, but whatever. It's just like, okay, because right now with the stakes being so high and everything being so volatile, it's like you need people who are actually trying to reciprocate, who are actually trying to adapt, who are trying to learn new things and also bring value and invest in your respective social bonds and whatnot. I need people in my circle who are actually engaged with the world, not just hiding from it. I mean, we all have to dabble in a little escapism. We can't just be tuned in we can't just be tuned in 24/7. But you got to be tuned in to some degree, and to just be like, no, I don't want to pay attention to anything. I'm not paying attention to anything. And I don't want to have my point of view challenged and all that shit. It's just like, where's the Well, I'm just like, oh my God, like you don't even, it's like, what the fuck is that? Do y'all have any, do y'all have any comments about that or any thoughts on that thing about like centrism? And after a while, you got to accept the fact that people put blinders on themselves, and that people are not going to spontaneously just change. That it takes a set of experiences and stuff to get you to that point. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Sam and Alex. I think y'all are the only two on here right now. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna definitely be doing some more lives though, and I got sort of the podcast coming up. That's from we did it in July, and and the thing is, I feel like the topics that we talked about, the stuff we talked about is, I was trying to get someone family registered to vote today, so paranoid, self-resistant. Yeah, and it's like how long or how many times do you go? How many times do you go and try to break down that wall or get through that barrier? Before accepting the fact that maybe it won't ever happen, but it definitely is not going to happen right now. And I made, and I definitely had that for a long time where I made the mistake. This was kind of like what fed a lot of the exchanges I would have with people. Like when I look back on it, is I'm just like, I believed in, I don't know what the exact name for it is, but like spontaneous fucking epiphany. Like I was expecting people to have epiphanies, because I, came up, I guess, wanting to believe in that you reach certain stages, you reach a certain threshold of experiences and information, and you reach a whole new plateau. Because that's something that I think about, and I try to look at life in that manner. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like in a video game, you reach a certain threshold of doing certain things, and then you find yourself operating at a completely different level. And when you try to go back to a lower level, you're just super OP. And I guess part of the lesson that I've had to learn, one of the things that I had to really internalize, is that like most people, for whatever reasons, whether, of course it's a mixture of internal and external reasons, but for whatever reason, most people aren't like that. They're not, concerned with finding epiphanies or reaching that different threshold, or maybe they've just become so distraught, saying maybe they've tried and it's been fucked over so many times that they just given up and they're super cynical, and that's like, I get it, it's fucking wild, man. And, because one of the things I was thinking about as well was my journey away from religion. But now at this point in my life, still kind of recognizing the fact that there needs to be some type of spiritual, and I shouldn't even say spiritual. I mean, that's the best term I can come up with, but I don't believe in a, spirit. I don't believe a spirit is a tangible thing, but just talking about what gives me the drive, the momentum to continue on in life and trying to maintain relationships and bonds and trying to keep pushing through stuff even when things are fucked up. And in my journey away from Christianity, from religions in general, besides a lot of the obvious stuff like, oh, strict hierarchies, very, puritanical view or puritanical values and sets of systems and laws, which, don't always seem to make sense and sometimes contradict one another. And people are just be hypocritical. We're supposed to be figures of authority here, or just scientific, saying understanding, creating a relationship or environment to enable people to have epiphanies. It takes time. It does, and we'll get back to that in just a second. But in my journey away from religion, the thing that really happened with me, that really made me turn away from it, was this. It was thinking about what does religion really do for a person at an individual level. It gives them a set of rules, a system. It gives you it tells you that there is this system, this code or whatever, and that not everybody is privy to it, but that not everybody obeys it. And that if you happen to stick to it, then you'll be rewarded multiple times over, right? If you delay this indulgence, delay this gratification now, then you'll be paid multifold, later on. It's basically multi-level marketing, right? Which, funny enough, if you like multi-level marketing, literally that's infrastructure is kind of built on religion. You know what I'm saying? It's just they sell specific products and services. But really what made me move away from religion was kind of like figuring out or realizing that, that there's different systems going on, some that are more precise in describing the world, but also accepting the fact that accepting the randomness of life. Like it's like when you talk about like, what's the Big Bang Theory versus Big Bang Theory versus, I guess it's just you and me, Sam. Big Bang Theory versus creationism, right? Because the thing is, they both, at that level, they both make the same amount of sense, right? They're both logically sound. So then really what it comes down to then is, are you the type of person, or anybody, is one the type of person to accept the randomness and the spontaneity of the Big Bang Theory and be more comfortable with that and all the random shit that happens in life and the contradictory shit and the stuff that doesn't always add up, or bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? Are you willing to accept that as just kind of that's just part of the game? Or do you have to look at things as there is a system in place and everything is running perfect, but it's because of individual deviance from the system, to seek immediate gratification and short-term pleasures, and not delaying that gratification in order to receive those latter ones? And really what it came down to when I started looking at it like from that perspective, I was like, I'm just more comfortable with the idea of accepting that shit is fucked up or that shit happens for reasons that can't be explained. And while there may be an explanation that I just don't know, or that humankind in general just doesn't know, not everything needs to have a specific answer. And and the thing is, even when I moved away from religion, that wasn't even the way that I framed it. But now when I look back and I think about really how my journey away from religion, saying kind of, what it took root in was just kind of accepting the fact that, no, I can accept the randomness and kind of accept because if there is this great engineer, doing this shit, and there's a lot of stuff that is engineeringly not, it's not very good engineering, and if a regular human being can recognize that, then how is this supposed deity, how does this supposed deity have this oversight? And it's like, okay, maybe it's just a human being projecting all these supernatural elements to a deity or whatever, but with human emotions, human volatility. What's going on, Adam? I was just talking about my journey away from religion, and basically the TLDR of it is, I look at it like this: the Big Bang Theory and the creationist theory of, like Genesis and the Bible or whatever, at that root, at that core, they both make the same amount of logical sense. What's going on, baby? They both make the same amount of logical sense, right? In that both require you to accept that there was something here, that there was something at the very beginning that began all this shit, right? So logically, at that core, at that base level, both of these ideas are both equally legitimate, or consistent, excuse me, or logically sound, or whatever, right? Then the thing that kind of triggers things for me is then more so, how does the individual or group accept, or how does the individual group deal with life, you know what I'm saying, and looking at things. And basically what I realized was that, looking back in hindsight, is I have just been more comfortable with the idea of randomness and spontaneity and fucked up things happening for no real explanation, and everything just kind of moving not in a circle but in one straight line, and that I happen to occupy one little bitty sliver of this timeline, and once I'm gone, it won't reappear or nothing. And I'm just more comfortable with, for whatever reason, I'm just more comfortable accepting that shit, as opposed to accepting the idea that there was this great engineer, this great creator who did all this stuff, and and then seeing all these inconsistencies and being like, okay, why does this supposed deity that's supposed to be above us, why does it seem to act and throw tantrums and have the same level of, why does it seem to make the same mistakes and have the same shortcomings as human beings, but it's just overpowered as fuck? It's like, oh, okay, this just sounds like a human being creating tall tales, in order to capture the minds of people whom they need to believe that there is a system going on behind. There's strings being pulled behind the scenes, which obviously there's always some shit going on in behind the scenes in every facet of life. But this thing of like, oh, the material world, physical world versus the spiritual world, and that there's this great thing going on in one world that affects the other, and some things affect both worlds, and sometimes they don't, and it's not very consistent, but blah 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 blah. But some people need to think that that there is a system, and that the system can be played by prayer, by going to church, by repeating, saying the gospel, by trying to spread your particular gospel, or religion proselytizing and shit. And just kind of realizing that, wow, no, it's really just a comfort with an acceptance that, everything can't be fucking explained. Maybe shit will have an explanation, a scientific one that's beyond just me or just humankind in general. But I'm just like, I don't need to. I don't need to. I don't have to. I'm good. I'm cool accepting that things are just what they are. But in any case, so I'm going to go back to what Alex said. So creating a relationship or environment to enable people to have epiphanies, it takes time. It does. At the same time, though, the whole reason why I made that whole, thing about like people having blinders on is that you have to take a deep look at the person or the group or whoever you're trying to engage with and be like, are they even receptive to the shit? Like you have to, like, do they even want to? Because if you're sitting there telling somebody who's like, has a fucking broken leg or whatever, and you're like, hey, you should really do this or that for it, and and they acknowledge that they're in pain and it's fucked up and everything, but then you give that advice and they're just kind of like, they react, then what are you going to do? You're going to go there and set their arm for them? You're going to go and force them to accept medical care? That's an extreme example, of course, but I mean, people self-sabotage themselves all the fucking time, and when somebody tries to give them some advice on what to do, it's like, no, I got it, or I know what I'm doing, or I don't want to be challenged. People would much rather deal with hitting the same wall, hitting that same threshold, never being able to break, level up, to use another video game analogy. Yeah, and the thing is that, like, I hear what you're saying, Alex, because both of these friendships that I said that I lost, over this issue of them having these blinders on and kind of acknowledging that they don't want to adapt. They want things to change for them, but they don't want to have to. They don't want to have to be challenged at all or feel any level of discomfort with their points of view or ideas and values. Is both of those individuals I've known for years, and we've so this wasn't a decision, a choice that was made lightly. Or spontaneously. This is somebody that is known for a few weeks. I'm not so fickle. you know, at this point in my life. Then again, maybe I've seen something in that person in those few weeks that makes me so like that makes the cost way too high for me to engage with them. And I guess also really what I'm talking about is like one-on-one, right? This is different, and this is why I have this podcast, why I'm using this platform and whatnot, right? Is so I can reach people whom, of course, I wouldn't be able to engage with one-on-one, and whom we may not, and that it would be better for them to actually just kind of listen and hear me without us actually having to exchange with one another, because people get emotional and go on tangents and blah 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 blah. But that's but it's people have blinders on and don't want to be challenged, even if the blinders that they have on are preventing them, and they know that they're preventing them from developing any further, in their life, developing personally, developing any of their relationships and shit. Hell, there was somebody else, there have been other bonds and relationships that have fallen apart, since COVID and even before, that were just a matter of the person not reciprocating. And I don't just mean like, and when I say reciprocating, I mean it in various degrees. Whether it's somebody, it's mainly communication. So I'm somebody whom I will just drop a line to people, just out of the blue and shit, and just be like, hey, hope you're doing all right. Was thinking about you, blah 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 blah. Right? I'm definitely that person. I do that with a lot of people in my circles, and it's pretty clear that to a lot of folks this is very foreign. They're not used to it, or maybe they don't expect it from somebody whom they may not think is within like their tightest of cliques or whatever, right? And after a while, it's like, okay, why is it that I'm the one that's 5 times out of 6 or 6 times out of 7 or 9 times out of 10? Hey, what's going on, Jessica? Just in time, as a matter of fact, I'm talking about relationships and just all social bonds and whatnot, and how a lot of people don't seem to recognize or be comfortable with the fact that all relationships, professional, platonic, romantic, familial, you know what I'm saying, that these all require maintenance and investment. And it's clear that a lot of people, it's clear, yeah, oh yeah. This is what it's for, baby. This is what it's for. Get into the real shit. But it's like a lot of people, yeah, they really don't seem to understand that. And, because I've had some friends whom I've engaged with, and it's like, okay, I'm the person that's always having to initiate. I'm the one that's always having to call first or text first or to just inquire about how they're doing. And these are people that supposedly care about you, or people that you've always had good interactions with before, right? And then one friend, I hit her up, this was a while ago, and I've hit her up before, and we've had, cool chats. This was just a platonic friend. And their response was just really snarky. It was just like, I'm okay, fine, thanks, bye. And it was just like, right then, where I would normally try to be like, okay, did I do something, or, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this is a grown-ass person. If I did something to make them feel that way, or if they was feeling moody or something like that, then that's kind of something you need to, like, explain. And I would hope that somebody would, like, that person, certain people would be acknowledge the fact that, oh, maybe this wasn't the best reaction and shit, let me go say something. But once again, if that's not something, at a certain point with people, you have to recognize, you know what? This is just who they are. They just don't care, or, they're fair weather friends. They're cool as long as, certain things are going on, as long as certain, things are consistently. It's so annoying when people are put off because you want to talk to them. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah, I don't know. And the thing is that, once again, like I said, I can understand, like, if we all have our moods and we can all be snappy and snarky or whatever, but I'm the type of person where I'm just like, I would think like, oh man, like, yeah, sorry about that. I was in a mood, or this is going on, blah, blah, blah. And, this is awesome. Thanks y'all for joining in. This is only my second live, so I'm, glad to actually have some people on, especially since I started 15 minutes late. But, well, yeah, I mean, some people, they act annoyed when you want to talk to them, or they just don't. they don't think it requires any extra effort or touching base with somebody or just like yeah. I mean, some people think a friendship is just a spontaneous thing, and that, like, if you just feel spontaneously inclined to check in on somebody, if you just feel spontaneously inclined to be like, oh, let's hang out and make something happen, and be like, oh man, I wish we could do things like we did when we were kids. Well, when we didn't have shit to do, when we didn't have shit going on in our heads compared to now, when we didn't have when there was no real stakes to a lot of stuff. Especially since when you look back, it's not that stuff was just randomly happening or that we had nothing to do. It's just that we had peripherals between us. You know what I'm saying? We were forced to spend time together at school. We were forced to spend time together because our parents were driving us around, or our parents were friends and shit, or whatever. And you just kind of develop that bond. You develop that bond from just spending a bunch of fucking time around people, and keep fucking with my hat because I do want my. Fuck, I guess I'll just turn it around. Alright. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some people, it just goes to show that there's levels of engagement, levels of reciprocation, levels of maintenance, and not everybody, understands that. And thank you. But yeah, and I don't know. I think in the future I might not even do the hat and the mask and whatnot. I mean, like with the, whole security culture thing. I don't know. It's because it's kind of it's crazy out there. People are getting fucked up or harassed or attacked on every side. Every side of the spectrum. But I do want to say, though, and I guess that's it about relationships and whatnot. It's just kind of, that's just kind of growing up and kind of the thing that you realize at every stage. You kind of, I guess, like you kind of fall into this trap of getting to a point where you think that, thank you. I'm really actually just kind of appreciating the aesthetic of wearing a mask and whatnot. Like it just, like shit just looks cool. Shit just looks fucking cool. And now we actually have an adequate, excuse to conceal our identities, conceal the way that we look. Oh shit, Jessica's here. What's going on, Jess? Another Jessica. We got Jessica's on deck. Are you in a relationship, Brandon? I'm not in any type of like romantic relationships. I got some chick, well, there's some chicks I smash on, but there's no like serious like romantic things going on right now. But that's just, Jessica's unite. Goddamn right. But I mean, there's just different levels and degrees of relationships, and some people just kind of show themselves through their behavior and the things that they say that they are not ready to get past certain thresholds, that they are not ready for certain levels. Hulk smash. And that's just, it is what it is. And you just kind of, realize that and accept like, okay, I can be chill with this person. I'm not going to burn this bridge, but I'm just going to visit it less often, and that's, and that's all there is to it. So, so Cherry Blossom, the thing I was just talking about, which I won't revisit too much. I'll just upload the live later. But we were talking about relationships and just how different people expose them. People show themselves to be at different levels of. They just show themselves to be at different, levels through, the things that they say and they do and whatnot, right? I think this would be great to see you keep doing your thing. Hey, man, thanks for dropping in. I'll be doing more of these in the future, and we should chat sometime again soon, all right? What's going on, Cherry Blossom? But just different people, they show different sides of themselves in different states of different, friend, relationships, any type of relationship, social bond. And you just kind of realize like, oh, okay, this person, this is the limit. This is the threshold where this person is at. And I'm going to be disappointed if I keep going in expecting them to be, this thing that's beyond where they're at. It just is what it is. But I won't retread on that too much. The last thing I guess I'll talk about is is I just mentioned about like, the mask and the, covering the face and whatnot. Is that obviously this isn't like foolproof. There's still, things people can figure out about me or I mean, hell, there was one chick, she was at she got identified, cause she was out at a protest or whatever and doing some crazy shit. She got identified by her eyebrows, you know what I'm saying? So it's fucking nuts, but I haven't been out to any, protests and rallies and shit. But I said that, people are getting attacked and harassed and everything on every side of the political spectrum. However, I just got my heart broken. It was so interesting. If you want me to share cultural differences, I got burned by a virgin. Damn. I mean, I don't mean to laugh at you, but it's just so, it's like, damn, what kind of a game does it, or like, not even game, but like, how did, I would love to hear about that at a Reddit, but, hold on, let me adjust this damn thing. Well, I guess y'all can still listen to me while I adjust my bandana, but even though, yeah, a lot of people are being scrutinized these days and a lot of people are being, attacked for expressing certain political and social views, it's like, how you let a virgin do that to you, girl? Come on now. We got to get that pimp juice flowing. We got to get that pimp juice flowing. All right, this shit that can't be happening again. All right, I can't be having my dogs doing this. All right, supposed to be out there dominating. All right, swinging that fucking, I was gonna say big dick, I guess big clit, or however, whatever size it is, swinging the big, the clit around. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the boss. These fucking virgins, play you. But it's like, yeah, there's still ways that people can be there's still ways that people can be identified, but virgins can be pimped too. I mean, apparently I need to learn. I could have I was like, I could have used some of that when I was younger, but I guess there's all kinds of pimp juice. Even virgins got pimp juice, but fuck, what was I about to say? The fuck was I talking about? Masks and security culture and people getting attacked. So yeah, so I said that, yeah, people are getting attacked and everything, but make no mistake, this shit is not 50-50. It is disproportionate where the hate and where the violence and where the destruction is coming from. And it's coming from the right wing. It's coming from white nationalists, white supremacists, okay, who almost always tend to identify as purist pimps. Okay. Pure? Oh, you're saying they're the purest pimps? Interesting. We'll get back to that in a second. But these supremacists and shit, and I mean, hell, because going back to like the fires that are happening out here in Cali, some of these fires, I know one of them was happening with a gender reveal party, which, I mean, obviously the damage is horrific and everything, but that's so fucking hilarious. That shit happened. I'm sure y'all have seen a bunch of the memes where like it's like a fucking explosion and shit happening on the surface of the earth, wiping out like a whole continent, and there's text above that says, "It's a boy," great. Wonderful. But there's also some of these fires that have been started by these white supremacist nationalists because they look at the world as it was a gender reveal party. Oh yeah. So I mean, it's like that's kind of the thing. It's like, obviously that on the back end, all the destruction and shit is fucked up, but it's just like you fucking idiot. It's like, this is like, it's like as if we need another good reason to not have these fucking goofy ass gender reveal parties. So fucking weird. This obsession over gender. But before I get away from what I was talking about, some of these people, they mostly are a lot of dudes, but not always, but a lot of these like white nationalists, these supremacists and everything, they are accelerationists. And accelerationists, they basically think that like, oh, everything is too far gone, that society and the world is like this knot that can't be untied, and the only way to fix things is to reset everything by literally burning shit to the ground. Never mind the fact that, if you burn shit down, you're impeding your ability to maintain any sort of quality of life to help develop new infrastructure. These motherfuckers, so many people have this goofy notion that like the only way to make things better is to just completely abolish and destroy everything, burn it all to the ground and build it back up. It's like, no, even if we were to have like a left-wing revolution in this country, which I mean, it's not ready for. There's too many people lean far to the. This culture is way too right wing overall for that shit to happen. If we were to have a revolution, and just topple this democracy, it would go fascist. It would go fascist. No question about that. You know, people haven't still too many motherfuckers haven't even made up their mind about abandoning Donald Trump, and I can't wait to see what the difference will be if there is a difference after this report of him acknowledging with clarity of mind that we rarely hear him in that he wanted to downplay the virus. You know, and he says that he didn't want people to panic and shit. But there's a difference between relaying information so people don't panic and just completely withholding that information because you because you hope that it'll just blow over and won't be as severe as it would end up being, and just being callous and not giving a fuck, and being lazy. Yeah, of course they have all the money, but sticking to the people who do violence and shit, these accelerationists and stuff. Some of them have been starting these fires because they think, no, society's in too far gone with feminism, multiculturalism, immigration, queerness, etc., Hollywood, corruption from corporations and consumption. Yeah, that's why they are holding. I mean, they've been exploiting. I mean, they've been hoarding the wealth. Totally exploited the issue of COVID with the bailout. Oh yeah, of course. And the thing is, some people look at it as like a conspiracy, like, oh, they did this, they unleashed COVID and shit because so that way they could do this. No, it's motherfuckers always want to look at conspiracy before the fact. I think I look at it as conspiracy after the fact. It's like if you were walking down the street and somebody has their back turned, they have a backpack, or a bag full of valuables and shit. You didn't intend to go steal it, but then you see an opportunity where you're like, I wonder if I can get away with this. And then you try and you do. And this is what happens. Now they just capped on it. Capped? You mean bullshitting? Or do you mean capped or do you mean they just capped the funds for all the other shit? Oh, bullshitting. Okay. No, yeah, they's capping. I mean, yeah, of course. We know that they're capping, but I'm just saying that as far as yeah, I don't think that Trump purposefully did that shit because he foresaw all these things happening. I just think that it's a result of his natural. Yeah, they capitalize off it. It's in their nature to do this shit. This is what he does. So it's like, yeah, they didn't anticipate this shit was going to happen like this, but they're just like, we have an opportunity now that people are asking for a bailout, and we happen to have control over the Senate and we happen to have, or excuse me, just we have the senators and the presidency, not the full Congress. But you good. I know this technology is finicky, but they were like, hey, we have an opportunity here to do things in our favor, and the opposition can't really stop us through any legal means, and they don't really have the cultural relevancy or legitimacy to really push things over the edge like they need to. So they get away with it. And this is what's so frustrating when people talk about the right wing and the left wing and try to be like, the left wing could just be out protesting and shit against, for a good cause or whatever, and be looked at as propagandized as villains and destroying the planet and want to take away people's rights and shit. Whereas, these right wing dudes, during the Obama presidency, people may not know this, but white supremacist attacks and murders and shit spiked during that time. They'd been going down for a minute, but then the black president came in and shit, and it was they made their presence, the white nationalists and supremacists and shit, let you know that they never left. And maybe they couldn't touch Obama, but they're going to touch all the other, marginalized people who going to get at was just like the white supremacists and fascists and everything, the white nationalists. They never left. They just went into hiding, but then started spiking again after Obama. And, obviously then we got Trump afterwards, and now they're just all out in the open, but not just the hitters, not just the thugs out in the street, but also, in every sphere of life, because we're seeing racists go mask off, whether they be politicians or whether they be people who work in as medical professionals or as, lawyers, people, obviously law enforcement, but racist teachers, racist grocery store workers, racist media, figures, talking up. These type of groups have always been around. It was a matter of time to come out in the open. Yeah, absolutely. And it's been something that, and that's what's so frustrating when people, they look at this shit and they're just like, oh my God, where did this come from? I'm just so surprised. How is this our country? And it's like, dummy, you don't fucking know. If you actually knew the history of this country, if you actually kept up with the shit, not just what's being told to you in mainstream media, then you would have seen this coming a mile away, or at the very least, just wouldn't be so surprised. And I guess to kind of round off, the thing that I'm getting to is that, I know a lot of people, I don't promote violence. I do promote self-defense, and I've had it downloaded for a couple of months, but you can download the California gun codes and everything you need to know to take a test and whatnot. Go there, take your test, get your license, and then you can purchase as many bullets and different firearms and whatnot. And I'm gonna be looking into that because I do think it's prudent. And at this point, it's like niggas saying they raps, like rappers say, and everything. I'd much rather get caught with it than without it. Except my concern isn't with other dudes on the block, saying who are trying to hustle the same brick, to it. Or excuse me, we're not niggas, from on the block or whatever, trying to hustle bricks, to the same clientele. I'm concerned about a white supremacist or a fucking undercover cop. Or a militiaman, or just some asshole piece of shit who feels like they want to act tough, and I would just say to people who identify as left wing or liberal or left center or whatever, if you are disgusted with Trump, if you are disgusted with what he represents, with white supremacy, with white nationalism, with white, all that shit, then you need to become a little less squeamish about violence. And I know some folks would probably say that like, oh, violence never solves anything. False. It solves quite a few things. And the thing is, look at it, really think about your life. Think about the clothes you wear. Think about all the, I got a bunch of electronic devices in front of me and shit. You think I don't know, the force and the violence that is being used to make sure that we only have to pay certain prices, for goods. If we had to pay the legitimate prices for how stuff was worth, like at a fair level and shit, most of us wouldn't be able to afford, like these I don't have an iPhone, but we wouldn't be able to afford the latest model of anything. We'd have to wait 4 or 5, you'd have to, everything we have would be like 5-6 years, behind, or 5-6 generations behind, that's just what it is. So I think that people need to become less squeamish about violence and accept the fact that some motherfuckers aren't going to be reasoned with. And while there are some people on the left wing who are, obnoxious and maybe take things too far and whatnot, look at the stats. Even the FBI acknowledges this. Even the Department of Homeland Security acknowledges this. Even different law enforcement agencies and militaries recognize this. That white supremacy is alive and well. It is a growing problem that is, it's basically infiltrated law enforcement and military and all branches of professional life and all the top to bottom. They've been here, right? And white supremacy, the violence that mostly white men inflict on non-white people, or even white, liberal, white people who don't fit within the framework, back again, Jess. Oh yeah, you are the thing. Yeah, you are that type of white person who is a target by them because you're not a supremacist and shit. You're the wrong kind of white person to them, right? And so, 99.5% of the violence and the murder and the harassment and shit is done by white supremacists, and we need to be, people who are against that shit, we need to be a little less squeamish about violence because, obviously we've sat around and done the theories. Obviously we've done, people always mistake me for a supremacist. Whoa, how? How? Those people must just be fucking idiots. Or they may be they may be overly woke. You know what I'm saying? Because, you do, like, on both sides, it's okay though. I just respectfully let them know. No, don't respectfully let them know. These people are fucking idiots. Like, you don't, See, this is what I was talking about with some motherfuckers just being too woke and just kind of knowing the catchphrases and the quotables and shit. Oh, because I play banjo. Yeah, those people are fucking retards. All right. like straight up. Like, you know, they're dumbasses. All right. Um, you know what I'm saying? These people are fucking idiots. But no, but like people who are against, you know, that shit, we need to be stop always wanting to just go to the moral argument and be like, I'm going to tell this person that they're wrong, and I'm going to tell them how what they're doing is so, you know, saying inconsistent, or how they're hypocrites and shit. No, they don't care. What they're doing is what they want. You know, yeah, it is just dumb. You know, some people, all they have is the quotables. All they have is to say, "Oh, you bumped into me and didn't say sorry. That means you're sexist, or you did, you know, you didn't take this idea seriously. So that means you're racist and shit." It's like, no, maybe you're just a fucking idiot, or maybe you're just maybe you're just mediocre, and you keep trying to hide behind your identity. You know, saying instead of accepting the fact that you haven't worked as hard to develop yourself into the thing that you imagine yourself to be. You know, but I don't know how. I don't know. This thing doesn't even show me how long I've been going, but probably ended in a bit. But I guess that's the point I wanted to get. You know, the end that I wanted to get to is, you know, as a youth, as a kid, I used to think that I was pacifist, and that was kind of this, you know, the system that I thought that I could abide by. But then after getting into some fights and kind of looking at the neighborhoods and seeing and you know, understanding the world and understanding conflict more, over time, realize that conflict is inevitable, and there are some people who only understand the language of violence, or some type of overwhelming force, and that's the only thing that's going to move them. You know, and some people, you know, need to be immobilized. You know, because any action that they take is going to be an action towards fucking up equality, fucking up a habit, fucking up an environment that allows for multiculturalism, that allows for vulnerability, that allows for, you know, tolerance. You know, I believe it's Karl Popper, who came up with the intolerance paradox, which is just basically, not even came up with it, but kind of coined the term, which is basically, in order to maintain an environment that allows for tolerance, you have to be intolerant of the intolerant. Or in other words, if you want to damn this delay, I meant you talking it out, don't worry how long. Well, I don't want to meander too much because it's supposed to be something different than what I offer on my podcast episodes, you know, where I go for, you know, hours at a time. Right. I mean, of course, fuck Nazis, but I mean, we got to be able to do more than just say fuck Nazis, you know. And then you also got to remember that Nazis are a minority, but white supremacy and white nationalism is pervasive everywhere. And so we have to be on guard and gauge the level of reaction or response that we give on each situation. So like I said, there are some people, oh shit, this thing's telling me I only got 25 seconds remaining. So there's a time period on these things. So anyway, in closing, some people, yeah,